Hello and welcome to News Central Television with me, Blessings Mosugu. The top stories of this hour. President Tinubu, others mourn elder statesman Edwin Clark. Police hunt perpetrators of deadly political clashes in Osun State. Uganda deploys troops to eastern DR Congo. We've got the details in a moment. News now at this hour begins in the west of the continent, where Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has mourned the passing of elder statesman Edwin Clark. Reflecting on the life of the late statesman, the president says Chief Clark was a towering figure whose influence was felt across Nigeria's political firmament for nearly 6 decades. A Delta State Governor, Sheriff Oborveri, has also sent his commiserations to the Ijaw nation on the passing of the elder statesman, describing his death as end of a great era. In a condolence message to the family and the Ijaw nation, Governor Oborveri described Pa Clark's life and times as indeed well spent in the service of the nation. Former Delta State Governor James Ibori, while reacting to the demise, described the Clark as fearless and a federalist. Ibori noted that the late elder statesman was an exceptional leader of the Niger Delta region and was never afraid to speak the truth. Still on Edwin Clark's passing, Nigeria's political elite have described the late Edwin Clark and the leader of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum as a statesman that gave his all for the good of the nation. This was as visitors from across the country visited his residence in Abuja to pay their last respects following the news that he has passed on. Amadine Uyi was there and tells us more.
Visitors, mainly from Nigeria's political elite from across the country, came to pay their last respect. They say the loss of the elder statesman has taken a heavy toll on them, leaving them in severe pain.
It's a very bitter, touching experience for all of us that we lost Daddy today.
On a day like this, I feel a sense of personal loss.
The feeling is a very bad one. Though mixed feeling, because in the first place he died an accomplished person. Living up to 97 is not easy. I'm sure if he has stayed on for another 6 weeks, we'll have clocked 98 years. It's not easy.
Some of them add that his contributions to the growth and development of the nation cannot be overemphasized.
He lived and died for Nigeria. He loved Nigeria. And he consistently preached and fought for a better governance of Nigeria, based on justice, based on equity, based on care for all.
This is a man who has served as a rallying point for all of us. This is a man who is responsible, I didn't say was, for the creation of the Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum.
Before you talk of Pa Clark's contributions to developments of the Niger Delta, you have to begin with his clear and undeniable contributions to Nigeria. He was a Nigerian statesman, a father of our country, a leader of our country, who led a lot of people in this country. He was a leader of leaders, a father of fathers.
He's a warrior father, someone that really plays serious role in bringing some of us up.
Others laud his sterling leadership attributes, saying Nigeria's current and future leaders can learn a lot from his life.
Our present government, both at the federal or the states, they should learn from him. Because at the age of 98, he was still relevant and making very important points.
The late Edwin Clark was born on May the 25th, 1927, and passed away on February the 17th, 2025. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
And our News Central's correspondent, Austin Azu, joins us live from Kaigbodo, Delta State, to give us an update. Austin Azu, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
All right, I can hear you. Good afternoon, Blessing.
All right, thanks for joining us.
We are currently at the country home of late Pa Edwin Clark. Okay, earlier before that, this morning, we met this place, we saw canopies, and we saw DJs, and we saw a lot of persons who have stayed over the night here to celebrate the transition of the irregular of the Niger Delta, that is a late Edwin Clark. However, you can see that the canopies are quite empty, but nevertheless, it's expected that they will return back here to continue the celebration. And we are told that the celebration is going to last for 3 days. However, you can see from a long distance, you can see some cows tied down there, and we are told that it's going to be, celebration all the way. However, we have some respondents here. First, we'll begin with the registrar of Federal Polytechnic Orogu, that was Mrs. Christine Aloye, to share to us some of the, the moments he had with late Pa Edwin Clark. So what do you actually make about Pa Edwin Clark?
I'm going to miss being with him because most of my time in Abuja I spent with him. The wisdom, the knowledge, in fact, I just don't know. He is an embodiment of knowledge. He's an embodiment of knowledge. Very current. Very up till when he died, is very, very current to current affairs. And I find that each evening, because most of the evenings I spend with him, talking with him, sharing information with him, I always marvel at his age, he was still able to have that kind of retentive memory. He doesn't miss anything. He doesn't forget anything. If you discuss something with him 5 years before now and you are repeating the thing, if you lie, don't bother lying to him because he will remind you what people discussed that time. So he had a very sharp retentive memory. So I'm going to miss a lot. I can't even start recounting what I'm going to miss. He was a father. He was a father to us. He didn't discriminate whether he was my mother's elder brother, but it was like he was my biological father. So there was no discrimination. All of us, everybody in the family were like his children. He brought us all up as his children. His doors are wide open. Wide open. Anybody, you are welcome to his house,
All right, late Pa Edwin Clark is an educationist. He started as a teacher. And what do you think should be used to immortalize this educationist, a nationalist, and of course, our hero?
Apart from just being an educationist, he was a commissioner of education. I think if the federal government will be kind enough to immortalize him by naming an institution, a federal institution, using him, naming after him, a federal institution, to name him, after him,
Okay. Thank you very much. And that's Mrs. Christy Aloye. However, we have the President General of the community, that's Paul Clark, who is going to share more lights to us. And please come forward. Please tell us, what are we actually doing here? Take us through.
My name is Paul Clark, the President General of Kaigbodo community, the chairman. Today, we are here. Our father has just passed on. We are here. The canopy put here, they are inside his compound. We started the celebration yesterday. The celebration will last for 3 days. Today, if you look by my left, we have cows there. 2 cows will be slaughtered today. And people will come here to eat. People will come to eat. People will come to eat and enjoy themselves. Because Chief Dr. Edwin Clark, father of everybody, is a man of the people. He's a man who's the man of the people, a man who is so kind, a man who is so generous, a man that you meet anytime, any day, you request for a favor, He will stand by you. He will do it for you. Today, he has passed on. We are mourning. In fact, it's a great loss. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Okay, let me just put this question to you right now. You know, late Pa Edwin Clark is not just a nationalist. He was a grassroots man. So if you have to recommend to both the state government and federal government, what would be your recommendation in terms of immortalization?
Edwin Clark was a nationalist. He fought for the unity of the country, for the peace of the country. And a man, the voice of the Niger Delta, the voice of Nigeria. As a person, as a community leader, we advise the state government and the federal government to name a very high government institution. They should use Edwin Clark's name. He was a lawyer. They use one of the court of appeal, or the Supreme Court. They should name it name of Chief Edwin Clark, because he was a great lawyer.
All right, thank you very much. And that's the voice of Paul Clark, the President General of Kiabodo Community. Back to you, Blessing.
All right, thank you so much, Austin Azu, for giving us more information on Edwin Clark and how people are receiving his death, his life and times. Thank you once again for joining us. Now, in a related development, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has described the passing of elder statesman Ayo Adebanjo, the co-founder of the Pan-Yoruba Social-Cultural Organization, Afenifere, as a great loss to the country and the Southwest. During a condolence visit to the late Adebanjo's home in Lagos, Governor Sanwo-Olu commended the Afenifere leader as a man who wasn't afraid to speak truth to power and one whose shoes would be difficult to fill. Pa Ayo Adebanjo died on the 14th of February at his Lagos residence after a brief illness at the age of 96. Away from that now, Nigeria's Senate has amended the 2025 appropriation bill, which was recently passed by both chambers of the National Assembly after identifying and correcting errors observed in the bill. This was after the chairman of the Senate had brought to the notice of lawmakers several errors identified in the bill. Our National Assembly correspondent, Ayo Ibrahim, tells us more.
The committee chairman, Adeola Olamilekun, presented a motion highlighting the necessary corrections expected to be made to the bill. The primary adjustment involved changes to the recurrent non-debt expenditure, which has been increased to 13.58 trillion naira, while capital expenditure was reduced to 23.43 trillion naira.
Recall that the 2025 appropriation bill was passed by the Nigerian Senate and the House of Representatives on Tuesday, the 13th February 2025. The Senate observed that at the point of cleaning and realigning, the Joint Committee on Appropriation discovered some inadvertent errors in the underlisted lines item passed by the Nigerian Senate and the House of Representatives.
The Joint Committee on Appropriations has since incorporated these amendments into the bill, which was recommitted to the Committee of Supply before receiving final approval. Despite the adjustment, the total budget size remains unchanged at 54.99 trillion naira, including 3.64 trillion naira for statutory transfers and 14.31 trillion naira for debt servicing.
And members of the Appropriation Committee for detecting these typographical errors and bringing them on time for us to receive and represent to Mr. President for assent, because it would have taken a longer procedure for amendment if this had already been transmitted to Mr. President for assent. So I commend you for the transparency.
With the corrections finalized, the amended bill is now set to be transmitted to President Bola Tinubu for assent. In Abuja for News Central, I'm Sagir Ibrahim.
Time now to go on a very short break, and when we come back, 2 suspected killers of Anambra lawmaker escape from police custody. The details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Artificial intelligence is revolutionizing industries worldwide. Among the most significant advancements in AI is generative AI, which includes large language models, LLMs, like OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, DeepSeek, Perplexity, and many more. These powerful tools are reshaping business environments and financial markets by automating processes, improving efficiency, and enabling data-driven decision-making. But then, what is the adoption rate in Nigeria, and how well can it solve business-related challenges? News Central's correspondent Ayo Adebanjo tells us more in this report.
In a rapidly evolving global business and socio-economic landscape, generative AI or AI-powered chatbots are said to be providing cutting-edge solutions, driving innovation and enhancing productivity.
It's been very good, the fact that we have AI systems that can solve problems that will naturally take you many days to solve. You can just ask an AI and it will give you a response immediately.
In my personal experience, I've had it in healthcare, in agriculture, in food security, just different fields, right? Even in finance, you have people having using predictive algorithms, predictive AI algorithms to predict financial trends.
Covering several spheres of human endeavor, AI tools are said to be fascinating, flexible, and efficient in providing assistance. But then, how well do Nigerians know and use this technology?
As a student, a lot of us use AI. I'm talking about ChatGPT and other offshoot of it. It's very adopted. But I also answer from the perspective of like a market woman, for example. I don't think I've heard any market woman, since all my journeys into the market, I don't think I've heard any market woman mention AI. So I feel like it's still a bubble, and the average Nigerian person doesn't know much about AI.
Interestingly, as good as generative AI is, there are still challenges.
Certain tools that are not available to the market woman, certain financial services like transferring money. Many Nigerians, and if you look at it, if you go to the rural areas, they can't interact with financial applications. We need to really educate teachers and principals on, AI and what's possible with this model, so they can kind of pass on those knowledge to students.
As opposed to the more developed countries, developing countries and third world countries like Nigeria, we're not up there yet in terms of availability of data, so that in turn affects AI and machine learning.
For a country largely dominated by the informal market, one wonders if AI tools can be domesticated.
In terms of a market woman, basically, I think where they can find AI is probably managing their income. Maybe they could get some of their data around what they sell, put it into an AI system, and the AI can generate ideas that could improve their business. The AI can also analyze their income.
We could build financial system that allows humans in Nigeria who normally won't be able to use them to just go ahead and tell a model that, okay, I want to transfer money to my son, and it will figure it out for them because it's an intelligent system.
Though AI alone cannot solve all issues, its impact is undeniable, as it has the potential to position Nigeria as a leading digital economy globally if properly harnessed and developed. In Lagos for News Central, Ayo Adebanjo.
And now the Oyo State Council of the Nigerian Labour Congress has warned the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company against any form of discrimination or harassment of employees recently laid off. The NLC State Chairman, Kayode Martins, issued the warning in Ibadan during a peaceful protest at the IBEDC's corporate headquarters on Ring Road. He pledged not to back down until the company implements the new minimum wage for its workers, warning of severe consequences if demands are not met. The aggrieved electricity workers are also calling for the regularization of outsourced staff and access to affordable, quality healthcare, among other demands.
We've been showing up our grievances for years, though we didn't come out in mass like this. We were doing it peacefully, but they decided not to listen to us. So I've been working here for 8 years, and the same salary I've been taking since 8 years ago is still the one I'm still taking presently, considering the present situation of the economy. So we came out to show our grievances. We came out to show to show what we are going through in a peaceful manner.
Without power, there is no light. That's why we are there. We are working tirelessly from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the evening. For the 31 days, we are collecting 50,000 naira. And I'm telling you vividly, the same position that I occupy, the same IBEDC that I occupy, that the same position, they are collecting 294,000 naira. Why we are being paid 50,000 naira? You can see the margin, you can see the difference. That is, they are just enslaved us. They are enslaved us. Please come to our aid, Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The sovereign is too much. State government, we heard Governor Seyi Makinde, His Excellency. Come to our aids. Please help us. We also have family. Even as I'm talking to you, they transfer me from Osun down to Ibadan here. You could see the transport fare from Osun to Ibadan, from Ibadan to Osun. At least I will go to see my family. Out of that 50,000 naira. Please, they should come to our aid.
We are appealing to the state government and all the stakeholders. Please call IBEDC and PPI into order. They are still paying people 41,000 naira today. When the law says you must not, the minimum wage as indicated in the law means this is the least you must pay to your least worker. It's not that you must pay 70,000 naira. The least employer in Nigeria today, the law says must not earn nothing less than 70,000 naira. And we have people working day and night here, placed on 41,000, 42,000 naira. And in the same place, we have people earning as high as 600,000 naira. And it is these same people earning much, millions. It is these same people that is now tumbling with the 120, the stipend amounts. They hit up everything. Even the guy, they are taking it up. It's not done. So we are appealing to the citizen and everybody, please come to our rescue. We don't have power. This is the only thing we can do. That's why we are here.
Let's also tell you that the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission has dismissed reports that military personnel sealed off its premises in Osogbo. Now, the OSSIC information officer, Sadiat Isiak, in a statement, described the claims circulating on social media as false and misleading. The commission reassured the public that the local government election scheduled for Saturday will proceed as planned and urged residents not to be discouraged by misinformation. It also confirmed that its premises remain secure, with interagency security personnel ensuring order. Now, the Osun State Police Command has launched a manhunt for those responsible for violent clashes that erupted across the state on Monday, leaving several people dead. Police spokesperson Yemisi Okpalola, in a statement on Tuesday, said Commissioner of Police Mohammed Abba has ordered a thorough investigation to bring the perpetrators to justice. Authorities have urged residents to remain calm as security forces work to restore order. The violence broke out when APC members attempted to enforce a Court of Appeal ruling in Akure, which overturned their sack by the Osogbo Federal High Court in November 2022. However, they were met with fierce resistance from PDP supporters who had mobilized in large numbers at local government secretariats. Still on security matters, the Edo State House of Assembly has passed a bill amending the kidnapping prohibition law, imposing the death penalty on convicted kidnappers. The bill also mandates the confiscation and demolition of properties used to facilitate kidnapping. Majority Leader Charity Agboarigan highlighted the rising cases of abductions and the need for harsher penalties to curb the crime. Other lawmakers backed the legislation, arguing that the death penalty would serve as a strong deterrent and deliver justice for victims. In a related development, the Assembly has repealed the Edo State Electricity Law of 2022 to pave the way for a more robust energy framework. The new law establishes the Edo State Electricity Market, the Edo State Electricity Regulatory Commission, the Edo State Electrification Agency, and the Edo State Electricity Transmission Company, among other reforms aimed at improving power supply in the state. And now, 2 suspects linked to the murder of Justice Azuka, a member of the Anambra House of Assembly, have reportedly escaped from police custody. Anambra State Police Command spokesperson Tochukwu Ikenga confirmed the escape in a statement on Tuesday. According to Ikenga, the suspects were taken out for an investigation to track down a receiver of vehicles used by the criminal gang but managed to escape. Commissioner of Police Akinyele has deployed human, operational and intelligence assets to rearrest them. He has also ordered immediate disciplinary action against officers found culpable in the suspect's escape. Meanwhile, some residents of Asaba have expressed concerns that the onslaught against suspected criminal elements in Anambra State is increasing the insecurity challenges confronting the Delta State capital. Their fears are not unconnected with the recent clampdown on suspected criminals and their hideouts in different parts of Anambra and some parts of Asaba and environs after a successful arrest of those behind the kidnap and killing of a member of Anambra State House of Assembly, Justice Azuka, whose body was found on the second Niger Bridge, a boundary between Onitsha and Asaba. News Central's correspondent, Osun Azu, who is following the development and has been for weeks now, reports.
A few weeks ago, the decomposing body of Justice Azuka, a member of Anambra State House of Assembly, was found on the second Niger Bridge, a boundary between Onitsha and Asaba. This incident, among other increasing insecurity challenges confronting Anambra State, prompted the state governor Charles Oludo to clamp down on criminal elements and hideouts in the state. As a result of the clampdown, Asaba residents are now worried about the possible influx of suspected criminals fleeing Anambra to seek refuge in the Delta State capital.
I hear say all the native doctors in Anambra State, they don't pursue them. And as they pursue them, so Asaba, they don't come so. And we don't know the good ones and the bad ones. So we are not safe.
If they have been terrorizing Anambra and you allow them come here, then definitely we are in trouble.
They made a place coffee to make sure say people when they enter the town, they checkmate them very well.
Nevertheless, the Asaba of Asaba has taken further steps to allay the fears and worries of Asaba residents by placing a ban on the activities of Ezenwayi, female native doctors and other traditional practitioners due to their alleged involvement in the rising crime rate in Asaba and its environs.
It's on record that the Real Madrid didn't just act out of nothingness, out of vacuum. You have intelligence report from the police, the DSS, and of course, some agencies, government agencies. So he just didn't just act. He says, in a way of supporting the government, to checkmate this criminal element from perpetrating the act of whatever you call it in the town.
The Director General of Delta State Capital Territory Development Agency, Patrick Oka, has given assurances to residents of Asaba and environs that the agency is collaborating with the police and other sister security agencies in the states to maintain security in Asaba and other parts of the Capital Territory.
The other people that murdered the House of Assembly members, the 6 of them were caught, and they were caught here, not that the army or police from Anambra came here to do it. So, in the words of the DSS and the police and the DG security, that they are on top of it.
The State Police Command, on its part, is assuring residents of Asaba and environs that Asaba will be uncomfortable for any criminal to settle in.
Delta residents and residents in Asaba should not be thrown into unnecessary panic. Let them continue to trust in the command and let them know that we are willing, able and ready to go all out for anyone who wants to come and cause problem for us here in Asaba.
While the security concerns of Asaba citizens may be founded, they can only hope that the assurances of security from the authorities are concrete enough to ensure their safety. In Asaba for News Central, Osun Azu.
That was our correspondent, Osun Azu, on Anambra security crackdown. Now, the Nigerian Bar Association is hosting the State of the Nation discourse, focusing on the enforcement of local government financial autonomy in Nigeria. This discussion centers on full compliance with the Supreme Court landmark ruling in Attorney General of the Federation versus Attorney General of Abia State and 35 others. In a historic judgment on the 11th of July 2024, the Supreme Court ruled that governors must stop withholding or controlling funds allocated to local governments granting full financial independence to all 774 councils as stipulated in the 1999 Constitution as amended. The NBA says the discourse aims to identify challenges to implementing the ruling and propose solutions for its enforcement.
Many governors hold the view that the idea of financial autonomy for a local government in a federation is an anomaly. They argue that Nigeria being a federation, that local government is not a federating unit. Others contend that the issue is not about being a federating unit. They further contend that if the Constitution has provided for a tier of government and guaranteed the existence of democratic institutions at that level, and has also ensured that revenues according to the federation is shared between the federal government, the state governments, and local governments, it is not the place of state governments to argue that the local governments should not have control over their finances.
And our News Central's correspondent, Joshua Imarai, joins us live from the event. Joshua, good afternoon. Can you give us an update on the NBA's discourse so far on the state of the nation? Joshua, can you hear me? Joshua Imarai, are you there? All right, while we wait to establish connection with Joshua Imarai, we'll continue with more stories and hopefully we can get him back. Now to security matters. A man identified as Godwin Oda from Aparata village in Effium Autonomous Community, Ohaku local government area of Ebonyi State, has been reportedly murdered by hoodlums in the conflict-ridden area. Oda was allegedly shot, beheaded, and his body mutilated while plucking fruits behind his compound. His killing comes just a week after Governor Francis Nwifuru granted amnesty to 159 detainees arrested following the intra-communal war that erupted in Effium in January 2021. Confirming this incident, the President General of Effium Town Union, James Ajena, condemned the act as callous, brutal, and inhumane, especially at a time when the government is striving to restore lasting peace in the community. He also added that the matter has been reported to security agencies. And now Nigeria's House of Representatives has called on the National Judicial Council to create specialized courts to fast-track cases concerning homicides and femicides across the country. Lawmakers say that the swift dispensation of justice is crucial to deterring violent crimes, especially as incidents of killings, particularly against women, have continued to rise. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, reports.
Mr. Speaker, if nothing is done at this moment, this is going to look like the case of banditry.
The rising cases of homicide and femicide across Nigeria have sparked national outrage, triggering calls for urgent judicial reforms to enable quick dispensation of justice.
The right to life is a fundamental human right guaranteed by the Constitution.
Lawmaker Awaji Inombek Abiante, while leading the debate with 3 other members of parliament, says that the late judgment by court denied justice to the victims, emboldening perpetrators.
The slow and ineffective justice system allows perpetrators to gain media attention. Some have become beauty pageant winners, while trials for serious crimes like homicide are prolonged.
With several shocking cases, including the recent killings of Salomia Daudu in Abuja and Yetunde Lawal in Kwara State, both ladies allegedly murdered by their boyfriends for ritual purposes, lawmakers say there is a need for a specialized court to handle such cases and ensure strict application of the law.
And inviting my colleagues to resolve to urge the National Judicial Council to facilitate the designation of special divisions within existing courts at all levels to expeditiously handle homicide, femicide, and related cases.
Our justice system must serve as both a deterrent and a beacon of hope for the vulnerable. I call on this House to prioritize stricter legislation improve law enforcement capacity.
Other lawmakers say there's a need for collective action, calling on religious leaders to preach more about morality and the government to invest in public awareness campaigns to curb the menace.
Those that don't have daughters have sisters. Those that don't have sisters have mothers. I think this is a collective responsibility.
They need to put heads together to ensure that they have preached morality, that they have preached in such a way that the generation and the generation unborn will learn the etiquette of morality instead of behaving the way the society is.
While the calls for judicial reforms grow louder, lawmakers, after an extensive debate, resolved to investigate the root causes of the rise in killings of women and girls across the country. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
And now to bring this update on the NBA's discourse on the state of the nation, we go back to Joshua Imarai, our correspondent in the FCT, who's currently live at the event. Joshua Imarai, can you give us an update on what's happening currently? What has been the highlight of the event so far?
Well, if you can hear me, Blessings, the discussion here has been quite riveting and earthquaking because a lot of issues around the contention of the implementation of the law passed by the Supreme Court on July last year regarding the local government autonomy has been the bane of discussion here. We've had the Attorney General of several states on several panels, as well as the Association of Local Government Workers, as well as the Association of Local Government Chairmen, representative from several factors, the CBN, the NBA, and even from the government itself. They are here, and the discussion so far has been riveting. We are seeing discussion emerging concerning the implementation of the Supreme Court ruling on the local government autonomy. Questions are being asked if the autonomy is for financial autonomy or entire autonomy granted to the local government in this case.
All right, Joshua Mari, thank you so much for bringing us the update. And definitely, since the event is still on, we're definitely going to circle back to you to tell us more about how it's going. Thank you once again. Coming up in the news, Chadian army claims major victory over Boko Haram. This and more after the break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Chad's military has announced the elimination of nearly 300 Boko Haram militants and the loss of 27 soldiers during a 4-month military campaign that concluded on Tuesday. Now, the operation was launched in October following a deadly Boko Haram attack on a military base in the Lake Chad region, where 40 Chadian soldiers were killed. Now, Chad is a key player in the regional coalition fighting Boko Haram alongside Nigeria, Niger, and Cameroon. The decade-long insurgency originating in Algeria has caused over 40,000 deaths and displaced 2 million people, spreading instability across borders. Still on insecurity in the east of the continent, the Emergency Lawyers Network has accused a Sudanese paramilitary group has been accused of killing over 200 people in a 3-day assault south of Khartoum. The organization, which has been documenting human rights abuses in Sudan's ongoing conflict, claims hundreds more and wounded, missing, or feared drowned after paramilitary forces opened fire on villages attempting to flee across the White Nile. Meanwhile, Sudan's army-backed government puts the death toll at 433, including children, blaming the attack on the Rapid Support Forces. Sudan has been in turmoil since April 2023, with both the Sudanese army and the RSF facing accusations of war crimes. To some business stories now. Nigeria's National Bureau of Statistics has announced a decline in the country's inflation rate to 24.48% in January, following a consumer price index (CPI) rebasing exercise. This rebasing means a change in the reference year used for measuring inflation, adjusting how price movements are tracked across different sectors. News Central Business Desk Team Lead Nasir Agbalaya gives us the details in this report.
The base year serves as the benchmark against which price changes are measured.
CPI is a relative index. Relative in the sense that you are comparing prices in the current period to a given period. That given period is what we call the price reference period or the base year. Now, over time, the base year needs to be updated, brought closer to the current period. The process of bringing the base year closer to current period is called rebasing. Also, CPI is a fixed basket index, meaning that the item in the basket is assumed to be fixed for a given period of time. Now, over time, the item in the basket become obsolete because consumption pattern determine what is in the basket. And consumption pattern changes with time due to change in income, change in taste, and other factors.
Nigeria's previous CPI calculations were based on a different economic structure, which no longer reflects current consumption patterns. But are the data and base year chosen now without question marks?
While it is right to always rebase the CPI methodology as well as the GDP calculation methodology every 5 years because you want to get realities, the current realities of the macroeconomy, you should ideally look for the base year that is more stable. Now, with a base year of 2024, there's a potential of skewing the eventual inflationary trends because you're not capturing the core shock years of 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2020 as well. Let's not forget that in that particular space of 5 years, that bandwidth of 5 years, we've had shocks from the cash crunch, we've had shocks from subsidy removal, cost-reflective tariffs, distortions caused by severe exchange rate deterioration, valuation of naira tanking, and we can add more and more.
As Nigeria navigates its economic landscape, staying informed is crucial. We'll continue to monitor how this CPI rebasing influences inflation trends, government policies, and the daily lives of Nigerians.
Now we're joined by macroeconomist Dr. Oluwabekpelumi Oshode to discuss this. Thank you so much, Dr. Oshode, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you too. Now, what are your thoughts on the recent decline in Nigeria's inflation rate, and how significant would you say this is to the development for the country's economy?
Yes, so first off, I won't call it a decline in inflation rate actually. I would rather see it as a change in the inflation rate. And the reason is because the fundamentals or the how the inflation basket is computed has changed. So we are not seeing a decline from 34.8% to 24%. That's not what we are seeing. We are seeing a change in the inflation rate because the fundamentals have changed. And like we said, the base year has changed to 2024. The constitute or the items in the basket has also increased. Some obsolete items have been removed, while the more recent and more reflective items are added. Now we've moved from 740 items to about 934 items. The same thing happens to the weighting. The weighting is also more reflective of economic reality, and that is why we are seeing this decline. And of course, the first thing that will come to play is the base effect between 2024 and 2025. That was why we saw this 10% decline. And what this means is that, first off, it's more reflective of economic realities. Then secondly, it would improve our investors' confidence in the economy. Now that we have rebased the CPI, which is a major macroeconomic indicator used for policy making and a major indicator of seeing how sound the economy is. Now that that is in place in terms of more recent and more reflective assumptions, that we can see this boost investment confidence and see how we attract investment in that angle. So more in policy sense, it's really a good effort. But to the real sector or to the man on the street, there is just a change in number. Nothing has really changed in terms of the prices of goods and services.
But how does this dropping inflation rate affect the everyday Nigerian, especially in terms of the affordability of food and the general cost of living?
Like I rightly said, this is more like a number, the word on the street is, even if inflation number is now 24% or even goes down to like 15% as the federal government is assuming towards the end of the year. The word on the street is, how does this affect food and prices of foods and services? How does this affect the price of tomatoes in the market? Does this mean that my salary is enough for a family of 4 or 5? Does it mean that I can save now from what I have? That's the most important thing. And I will tell you that as much as this inflation number is reflective of reality and the fact that the assumptions are better given the consumption pattern and the fact that it's also data driven, the reality is still the same. In terms of the prices of goods and services, the prices have not gone down. And but the most important thing now to look at for consumers is actually what we call inflation expectation. There is general optimism in the market now. Everyone is optimistic to see inflation come down to at least 20% because the sentiment in the market is now positive. Unlike what we had earlier in 2023 and 2024, where there was a negative sentiment and everyone is placing premium on whatever goods and services they are trading in. But now we are seeing this positive outlook and looking at also factors that are driving inflation, both food and the more core factors, exchange rate dynamics. We are seeing more stability in exchange rate market, given the intervention from the CBN, and also the fact that some of these commodities, global commodity prices are likely to trend downwards, looking at the geopolitical tension that is easing globally. So those factors will also adding to the expectation that is well anchored and more optimistic expectations. So we expect that begin to see the impact of prices of food and services trade downwards.
Okay, Dr. Oshode, thank you so much for joining us to discuss very pivotal conversation. We appreciate your time with us on the news. And now to sports. A man who exhibited fixated behavior toward Ima Raducanu during the WTA 1000 tournament in Dubai has been banned from all WTA events, officially confirmed. The individual first approached Raducanu in a public area before being spotted in the front rows of her match against Karolina Muchova. The 22-year-old Briton, trailing 2-0 in the first set, was visibly distressed, seeking refuge behind the umpire's chair and wiping away tears. Security later ejected the man from the venue. The WTA stated he would remain banned pending a threat assessment. Raducanu, previously a stalking victim, is receiving support from the organization. Now, Muchova went on to win the second round match 7-6 and 6-4. Well, that's all on the news at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. We did tell you that President Tinubu and others mourn elder statesman Edwin Clark. We also mentioned police hunt perpetrators of deadly political clashes in Osun State. And finally, we told you that Uganda has deployed troops to Eastern DR Congo amidst escalating conflict. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, channel 422, StarTimes, channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. And thanks for watching. I'm Blessings Wasugu.